to welcome everybody to our second episode of our Hot Springs County School District podcast, known as the Bobcat Beat. I'm very fortunate to be here today with people who have a lot of skills that I do not have, and that is our music department from top to bottom. We're super excited about that. Today, what we're calling our podcast is Harmonies of Hope, the future of music in Thermopolis, Wyoming. And
Love it.
just want to welcome Mr. Nathan Gertler, Mr. David Van Slyke, and Miss Hattie Lawrence. And I'm going to let them tell you just a brief introduction of themselves and kind of what they do in the district, and then we'll get into a few questions. But Mr. Gertler, you're the veteran around here, and so love to have you start just with an introduction and how you ended up in Thermopolis and what you do.
Yeah, thank you. Gosh, my name's Nathan Gertler. I get to teach Ralph Witter's elementary music. I love it. This is my 12th year teaching elementary music. Been in elementary the entire time. Started in Sheridan for a little bit, and then was in Casper, and been here for 3 years, and it's been wonderful. I love teaching kiddos. I never thought I would be at the elementary level, and got that position, and just fell in love with them. I just love their eagerness to learn and their kindness, and just that age group is just so fun for me, and I just don't see myself really going beyond that elementary level. But
Well, you've really found a niche there for sure.
yeah, thank you. We have so many cool things going on, and this year, of course, we've got our Christmas program coming up here pretty soon, and after that, we got some spring concerts that we're gonna do. We're gonna continue with the America in Song concert that we've been doing with third grade, which will be cool, and then of course adding in another spring concert that's going to be the rest of the grade levels as well. We're going to do a little bit more maybe intimate, relaxed kind of a setting where they get to, parents and students will really get to perform and see like what the classroom looks like, kind of a classroom performance almost, rather than a big stage and everybody's dressed up and a real formal setting,
Very cool.
Anyways,
cool.
ask me your question again.
Oh, I just was having you talk about the rich tradition here in Thermopolis,
well,
and if you would help us out with that, I'd appreciate that.
I'm very lucky to follow some greats, Mrs. Stetler and Mary and those who came before, Mrs. McGillivray. They just set up such a wonderful, reputation and rapport with students and just with a love of music that I think Thermopolis and Hot Springs County kind of has. It's all I can do to try to fill those shoes. It's impossible to fill those shoes, but you do your best and you just make sure it's fun and the kids leave each day encouraged, and that music is an outlet for them to where they can succeed and just love to be at school.
Well, the thing that I'd add for you, Nathan, is that, I don't know, I think all of us in education hope that we fill the shoes of somebody that we follow. And I've changed from saying that very, very often because I don't know that we ever fill shoes of people, but I think I've changed my terminology with that to just adding to the legacy.
Yeah.
Because in our community,
Well said.
the arts are, kind of our thing.
Yeah.
And, from all the way from the Bobcat band days to Mrs. Stetler and all the folks that have contributed to that. And we still have a pretty rich tradition that we have folks come back and play, in our pep band and all those things. We'll get into those things in a little bit. But thank you for that. I'm going to jump to Mr. Van Slyke. He's next on my list here, and he's going to introduce himself, if he would, kind of talk to us about his background and what he does for the district.
Yeah, so I'm David Van Slyke, originally from Laramie, but I've moved around a bit, Texas, Ohio, and I've got family up Powell level. No real family in Thermop, but it's just such a beautiful place. I was very drawn to it, the community, the history of a strong program, and a lot of potential to build it up for the future. And that, I guess that's kind of why I'm here, to get that ball rolling again. I know back in the day we had Mr. Bill Malloy, and his program was fabulous, so it's a little, like Nathan was saying, hard to step into those shoes. But I think we can hopefully bring back a new sort of glory day for music in Thermopolis.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. And David, we appreciate having you. And I'm going to get into what drew you and Hattie to our community in a little bit. But I want to let Hattie introduce herself and talk to us about what she does for the district.
Of course. Yeah, my name's Hattie Lawrence. I am also from Wyoming. I grew up in Moorcroft, Wyoming, which is up in the northeast corner. But my dad was born and raised here in Thermopolis, so I've definitely been around. Growing up, I had family in Shoshone, Riverton, so I definitely love this community. I went and got my degree in Idaho because I found a music program that I just fell in love with, so I did go out of state, but I am so glad to be back in Wyoming because Wyoming's home, and there's just no place quite like home. So for the district, I teach the high school band with David, and I teach some of the choir. We kind of split that too a little bit. I think I head it a little bit more just because I've both of the periods of it, but we give David some songs to conduct because, choir and band is important to both of us. So I feel like it's been really incredible to tag team, seeing other perspectives has been really great. And the middle school, we do our complete own things. I teach the middle school band, which is so fun. They have so much excitement. And we teach some exploratories at the middle school, so we get to help them explore the choral side, and we're introducing them to new instruments all the time and letting them try new things, and they're really loving music in a way that I think makes me excited. It inspires me when they try new things and really fall in love with what they do.
Well, I'm really glad that Hattie brought up. Well, first of all, welcome to all three of you. Even Nathan, our veteran, who's he's been here 3 years, but I want to welcome you to the district just officially, on our podcast, because this has been something that's been, a little bit of a challenge to, we're facing a national teacher shortage across the entire country. Music teachers, probably in particular, are not easy to come by, and we'll talk about that a little later. But I want to talk about our school board's commitment to music education. The last couple of years have been kind of difficult to find teachers in general, and it's not going to get easier in the short term. It's going to take a little while before we get that turned around in our country. But just like with welcoming you all here, I think, we in the past have had as many as 3 teachers, but it's been a long time since we've had 3 full-time music teachers.
Yeah.
And,
cool,
having the opportunity to bring 2 teachers the caliber of David and Hattie to join Nathan sounds like the dream team to me as the superintendent of schools. And like I said, mentioned in the start of the program, I don't have any of those, that skill set, and so for me, just something that I get to enjoy. I still, as an old high school football player, still remember how much I enjoyed the band playing at the games, and that's one of my favorite things to enjoy.
Did you ever play anything?
Nathan, I'll be honest with you. I was, I don't know, maybe I was just not very tough, but I was pretty afraid of our elementary band teacher.
Okay.
And just was afraid to probably disappoint that person. And so never did have an instrument. The radio is probably my only instrument.
Okay. Hey,
but I have a lot of respect for those that have put in the time and the effort to be good musicians, and especially those that are willing to share that with children, because I want all of our kids in our community to have that option.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited about, here we are, we're getting on Thanksgiving. It's gone pretty fast, but you are all off and running on this dream and this idea that we have to make this the best program that we can possibly make it, and make it a powerhouse from top to bottom. And, I'm loving watching the collaboration of teachers. So I mentioned a couple times Nathan as our veteran, but Hattie and David, not being proud, but working together on what they can do, on what's best for the students, getting other perspectives. That's powerful.
They're a good team. It's fun to watch.
Yeah,
we meet every week, and seeing these 2 collaborate, I'm like, oh God, they're thinking about things I'm missing. I'm not thinking about it. It's fun to watch. Especially just fresh, perspective and everything. So
right. Well, I like I say, I could not take this opportunity to welcome you enough. We have big ideas about what this will look like, and of course, you are all the ones that will have to probably help us drive that forward. Absolutely. But let's for a second, let's jump to, Nathan. You talked a little bit about the rich tradition, but you know, you're carrying on that tradition. Maybe, you know, all music teachers do that in a little bit different way.
Yeah.
Probably arts teachers, I would say, you know, if Mrs. Emery is probably different than
Yeah.
the past art teachers, but all
We're
of
lucky to
you
have
that
her.
are, yeah, all of you that are in fine arts do it, you know, you do it as a team, but you do it a little bit differently based on your strengths. You
Yeah.
bring things that others don't and
Yeah.
vice versa. But talk about how, like, what's your idea? You know, here you are in year 3. You're pretty well established. I think everybody in the community knows you. You got a game show host voice up there on stage.
Ladies
with
and
That's
gentlemen.
right, with our little kids. And I know how much they think of you. I know how much the
thanks.
staff at the elementary thinks of you
We had a good time.
and the things that you're doing. Talk about, like, what does the future look like for you? I mean, you pack the house every Christmas, one of our biggest events throughout the year, and you know, it's amazing how fast you got to get here pretty darn early to get to the Christmas program when Mr. Gertler and the kids are showing their thing out there on our Christmas program. But what's the future look like? And you don't just have to talk about the Christmas
Yeah.
program. You can
Yeah.
talk about what's that look like in elementary. I mean, you've done some things that we've not done in the past, and they've gone really well. So what do you see in the future for elementary music?
You know, I got to start just kind of with my music mission. You know, really, my mission is to develop a well-rounded student by expanding horizons and creating unity through music. And I think that word unity is really important because bringing students from all ages together to play creates this purpose and this community, even just amongst my own classrooms or those classrooms that grow up to be, you know, middle school and high school. And so I would like to see that continue because I feel that was built before me. And so I'd like to see that continue, of course. Another thing that we're going to work on building, you know, as we grow together, us three, is making sure that the music education that students get at the elementary level is streamlined and continued in the middle school and high school levels. Meaning there's not like, oh, Mr. Gertler's way of teaching, and then, oh, now Mr. Van Slyke's or Mrs. Lawrence's way. You know, it's like, oh, it's just a continuation of the music that we started with, and now it just grows into this. And, oh, I'm introduced to a new instrument, and, oh, now I can, you know, now we're more heavy on singing or whatever that might be for students. But that it would just be a collaboration between us three that really flows. And, you know, other school districts, I'm lucky enough to have seen how that can work and how well it transfers over to student learning. And so that's something I want for us. And that's something we've kind of worked on this year, especially in the beginning when we built those documents to really, you know, eventually we'll get all those documents into one one unit, you know, so everyone can see like, oh, my student's going to know this through K-12 and here's when they're going to learn it kind of thing. And so those are just a few things that come to mind.
Well, let's jump from what Mr. Gertler's thinking. Let's think about these new perspectives. So I think you can remember when we went through the hiring process, both Hattie and David, we talked about that this is kind of our vision was we've got a outstanding elementary music teacher, which has already had his students performing in front of the Wyoming School Boards Association and a number of other places. And what's that look like from your perspectives in your two programs? And I want you both to take a chance at that and talk about the collaboration with Nathan. But what's that look like in the future? What does high school, middle school look like? And not a lot of people are probably aware of all the talents you both have and what you both bring to the table. You've got some diverse things which are great for a small school district because we don't have, 10 music teachers. So for you three to be multi-talented, talk about what the future looks like for middle and high school. Whoever can go first.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start. My idea for the future, and Ms. Lawrence probably thinks differently from me because we've had those different experiences in the past. But I think my one goal is to get as many students as possible involved in whatever kind of music. they enjoy, whether that be choir or band in the more traditional formal sense, where you go out to, formal adjudications where they try to get the best score possible or have these traditional
Be
concerts.
competitive.
Yeah, competitive in a sense. Or if it's something more casual, like we started a guitar class this year, and I've got students involved who haven't played music or sang a song or picked up an instrument since elementary school.
Sure.
And which is really cool to see. And it's something that they're able to find value and meaning in, even though it's maybe not what they want to do for a living. So I think I want to go more into that, expanding opportunities for students who may not normally be involved in music through like a guitar class, maybe like a jam band where
Cool.
you got drums, guitar, all that stuff. Or even go the exact opposite direction if we have enough students interested, start an orchestra. Just provide as many opportunities for students as possible.
I love it. I love it.
And going off of what Mr. Gertler was saying about the collaboration, that's absolutely something we want to get more into moving forward. It's super important for not just us, but for the students to have that progression of skills throughout elementary school, middle school, high school, a clear path that they know they're going to improve upon.
I think that's, I don't think that can be overstated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, David, but
No,
I think that collaborative piece is what we have been, from leadership's perspective, the most excited about, is that 3 people putting their brains together who all think about, the passion for music education for students is just going to make for one powerful program in a small community where we might not have as many resources as a big district. By getting all of our brains together and offering as much as we can based on our strengths is really powerful.
Yeah. I can't help but watch these incredible elementary grade level teachers that are my neighbors, and they're so good, and they're going above to the grade levels and going below and making sure things match up and all the lingo, and it's like this beautiful process, and I'm like, that's gonna be us,
Yeah,
we're gonna get there, and
It will be.
that's the goal, is to really copy what they're doing because they're so good at it. Our elementary teachers, man, they're good. They're good. And I'm so
I agree.
proud of them and so happy to be like working with them. So
Right. Well, I agree with you, Nathan, and I think that collaboration is something that's a cornerstone of our district, is to work together and try to do great things for kids. But I'm seeing that. I know you guys are all just starting, but I'm really excited about where you're at. Hattie, what are your thoughts about the future? I know you got a lot of ideas as well, and that's one thing you don't have to worry about, I don't think, with my music educators, is having ideas. And so, I'll pick on Hattie a little bit, but what's it look like for you, Hattie?
Sure. I think that music has this incredible ability to help students believe in themselves. I love having students that are multi-talented as well. Like, I'm a big advocate for being involved in many ways, because the more things you do, the more direction you have when you grow older. So I think this is a tricky question because you have to find a balance, because, our students are often like in sports. I myself will be coaching basketball.
Right.
So I think it can be hard because, we're trying to do like pep band, but some of them are in sports, so it makes it smaller. But then, we'll talk about this later too, but having people in the community join. And so finding this balance, but there's some things I would love to do, like traveling. We've talked about putting together some programs, taking them. They have, competitive performances, events in Florida that we've talked about going to, or, like Utah, Idaho. There's just so many opportunities to travel and take our kids to experience more within music, but also more within like the world. Go places they haven't seen to experience these new things within music.
Yeah.
And music is an incredible way to explore different cultures, different backgrounds, history too. So expanding it
universal
that
language,
way. Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to branch out, do some of those things. We have 4 set concerts, but we've talked a little bit about putting on some more. I'd love to do like a variety show, do a tag team with, the CTE or
That It's awesome.
I've done things with like FCCLA in the past. I'd love to do like put on these joint shows. The middle school has one they do kind of they call it their wax art museum,
yep.
I
Art
think,
museum.
where they combine all these different
Wax.
types of the arts, which I love. So I would love to incorporate some things like that at the high school. We've talked a little bit about, so we're definitely talking about those for next year, just because this year
Sure.
we're getting the groove going. But for next year, we have a lot of ideas to incorporate some of those things.
Well, Hattie, you've touched on something that I think is really important for us to be thinking about in a small district, and it's kind of one of the cornerstones of the people that we're trying to hire. And you probably picked that up from the folks that we've talked with. But Hattie mentioned albeit almost competition for our students. So one thing that I think you can be proud of, Thermopolis, if you're listening, is that your children are involved. Mr. Daramidi does a report each year, and he talks about the number of participants in activities. And that's not just sports. That's in all the different activities. And, we've been over 90% of our students.
I knew it was high. I didn't know it was
Right.
that. That's
And,
awesome.
thinking back to one of the biggest challenges way back when I was the high school principal here was who was going to get to have the student participate on that day.
Right.
Well, they have FFA and they have a meat judging, and they might go to their concert, or they might go run a track meet. And so our
Sometimes
kids,
if it's a bit of a fight, to get that kid
yeah.
out. Yep.
So I think that's something to be proud of.
It
and
is. It's a good
I
thing.
think, the collaboration is where, and just the realization that, we do have, it has not been that long ago. Maybe it seems like a long time ago, but sometimes when we think about the past with the Bobcat Band and some of those programs that we did have, we were a much, much, much larger school district.
Right.
And, with less than 700 students in our schools, we should be really proud, I think, of the participation
Absolutely.
that we are getting. Just our first guests were the career and technical
Yeah.
teachers. And Mr. Van Hewley was talking about the
Great
numbers
podcast.
of kids that he has, along with Mrs. Martinez. And then just in our first year, we have 10 kids signed up for our CDL class. And
Right.
our kids are very busy. They're trying to get it all in.
Yeah.
And so, Hattie's going to be here, a new teacher, a basketball coach, and who knows what else she's going to be doing. I know you both, David and Nathan, are the same, but
Yeah.
I think it's important that she touches on the variety that we try to provide as a small school district, just by being multi-talented as a music team and putting ourselves out there. But that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Just to add
Go ahead, Nathan.
to Hattie and just some of her ideas, last year I was lucky enough to be in charge of the jazz band for a bit, and it was so fun, and it inspired some ideas like how great it would be to have some kind of a community night where we get together and it's just big band dance swing music, and
yeah.
we do like a dinner, and it could be like a fundraiser or something like that. That
Oh, absolutely.
could be really fun, just to get people up and moving and grooving and dancing and get the kids playing, and then have that real authentic, shindig,
Right.
that
The
happens and
real
goes down.
experience.
Yeah, things like that, are things that I believe in time will be in our wheelhouse to be able to do.
So I was a big part of the hiring of our most recent two, David and Hattie. And of course, we hit the ball out of the park when we hired Mr. Gertler. But I want to talk a little bit about just something. This is a little bit of a sidebar from what I'd planned about talking. Mr. Gertler asked me if I played any instruments. And, there's a couple things in my life I wish I definitely would have done. One was learn how to do something musical. And two was, I didn't serve in the armed forces. And sometimes when, Veterans Day coming, feel a little guilty that I didn't do that in my younger days. I'm certainly too old to do that now. But as Nathan was talking about that, one of the things that I thought about while we were introducing you all is I wish I would have been lucky enough to have music teachers like her sitting in here with me on the podcast. How different would my musical life have been? So one of the things I think about when we hire great people and we put great musicians in front of our students, but not just great musicians, I'm really proud of the people that we've hired. They're great examples. I'm happy. I'm just so proud to have you all three in our community. What is it so I'm just thinking along the lines of, last year I know we graduated a young man who's quite a musician, and his life goal, I believe, is to become a music teacher, and I think that is an incredible goal.
All right, I gotta interject. So I'm sitting at lunch with him, right, and we're chatting, and he's so talented. He's good enough to go and play professionally,
Right.
And especially with the training he's gonna get,
Right.
you know, in at the collegiate level. And so I just flat out asked. I said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Do you want to play? Do you want to teach? What do you want to do?" And he looks at me straight, and he's just like, "Mr. Gertler, I want to teach." I'm like, "Really? But you're just so unbelievably talented. Get out there and go play, you know?" And he's like, "I'll play, but I want to teach." And I was just like, "Yes, man. Like, how great is that?" And he's so talented.
So Nathan, how do we replicate that with this crew? Because I feel like, the teacher shortage is something that's being driven pretty nationally. You know, there's some challenges there, but how do we make it? How do we produce more Aiden Freemans that are just amazing musicians, but they have a passion to share with others? I'm going to turn that to all of you guys. How do we get that? How do we build music educators? And I'm kind of hoping that you guys are in our community for way past my retirement.
Thank you, sir.
But I also know that we are. It's part of our responsibility to build relationships and help grow future music educators. Talk to me about that, David. You had something you were going to share.
I mean, just what you were saying, building relationships is kind of the biggest thing there. As students begin to form relationships with us as teachers, ideally what will happen is they'll, look up to us and think, man, that looks like a good job. I'd like to do what he's done for me or she's done for me and, pass it forward. I think a huge amount of people who go in to be music teachers or teachers in general were inspired by a teacher that came before them. I know for me, it was actually my math teacher in high school who made me want to go out and teach. Very different realm
Sure.
from music, but the idea stands that teaching is a field you want to go into because you had a great teacher who helped you. And I think we just have to try our best to be those great teachers to inspire more students to want to do the same.
That's fantastic. Anybody else want to add to David's?
I mean, I would just add on to that. I think every single person like in this room or even listening can think back to somebody like a teacher, whether it was in school or someone that taught them something outside of school that really inspired them to further their knowledge of something, and I think for me are those teachers that push you to grow. They don't allow complacency or allow you to be just comfortable in your comfort zone, right? They push you outside of that. I know for me, my teacher in high school pushed me to do some things that I wanted to do it. He wasn't pushing me. I wanted to do these things. I was very gung-ho, wanted to do these things. And after about 2 years of not meeting those goals, I almost was like, you know what? It didn't work. I'm just not going to do it. But my senior year, he said, no, you're not going to give up on yourself. I will not let you because you are so capable.
Wow.
And that led me to achieve some of my goals and then some. I surpassed them so far. And it was because that teacher didn't let me give up on myself.
Right.
And so I think part of that relationship,
Teacher, life coach,
right.
You name it, right?
Right. It's not just inspiring them, but also like not letting them give up on themselves and helping them be more than they are inside of the classroom, but also outside of the classroom.
Right. That's fantastic. Nathan, you add for me?
Yeah, I got a story for you. There was a junior high. There was a student in my grade. It was in 7th grade, and this student was on trumpet and played, I think, 13th chair out of 13 students, and all playing trumpet, and he was the last one, and he enjoyed trumpet, but he just didn't love it, and he wasn't doing great, and he was getting kind of bummed out that he was always the last, and he couldn't play the notes correctly, and he didn't clean his trumpet. He had like green ooze coming out of his trumpet. I mean, he wasn't taking care of his stuff, and I remember that student saw a kid walking in the hallways, and that kid had drumsticks in his back pocket. The other kid's name was Tater. I don't remember his real name. We just call him Tater. And that kid was like, man, that is so cool. I want to switch to drums. And so over the summer, he wanted to transition, so he asked his teacher before the school year ended, "Hey, if I take some private lessons, would you allow me to switch to percussion? I know I'm 13th chair." And at the time, the teacher was Mrs. Bertinoli, and she's still teaching. Get it, Mrs. Bertinoli, you're awesome. She's a junior high teacher in Casper, and she said yes, and she let him switch to drums and percussion. And that changed that student's life. And I know that because I was that kid.
Yep.
I was that student.
Yep.
I played trumpet, and she let me switch. And so that ignited a fire for music inside of me, that 8th grade year. And the rest is kind of history. And so I just hope that we can somehow make the correct decisions to then inspire students to love music. And they don't have to do music the rest of their lives, but it's something that they can love now and they can take with them later. And, sorry, but sports, you can get hurt and your body will end up failing you later. But music, man, you can always play it.
Mm-hmm.
You can always sit down at the keys. You can always play percussion. I mean, mind you, injuries, of course. But anyways.
Well, Nathan, that's a great story. And I think you touched on something there that, that we were talking about earlier with the relationship piece of that. And I agree with you. As an old college football player, there's lots of parts of my joints that would rather I was a drummer, for sure. But and I also think that one of the things that we're trying to do for our students in pretty much whatever program you would think about, music is what we're highlighting here, but our PE program, thinking about trying to hook them on a lifetime activity.
Yeah.
Our ag program, maybe that's an opportunity for them to earn a scholarship, but a well-rounded piece. And I'm super proud of where we're at as a music program, and I know that we're just scratching the surface of where we're going to go.
Started.
But again, I started this discussion earlier. I want to shout out one of our, that our school board had patience enough while we worked through the process of trying to find quality music educators. And, not everybody will invest in something once, we've gone without. And, we did our best that we could in that shortage.
Yep.
But now I'm super proud of, sometimes the wait is awfully worth it. And,
And, I can say, there was 6 fill-ins,
Right.
And 7 really. And they were patient and they waited. And then, boom, they backed 2 music teachers rather than just 1 for that position. And it's just
the reason I'm
a big
excited
deal.
about that, Nathan, is I think that your story is really important. And so we can't afford to miss, a Mrs. Bertinoli.
That's right.
That's
right.
Because of the impact she might have on students and that. So I really appreciate all of you being here. Just to kind of close up our day, I want to talk about how you all might engage our community, ideas you have, because music, this is one of the programs, not that I guess they pretty much all are. Maybe I'm just talking ahead of myself here because our community is very involved in ag. I mean, we fill the stands for our sporting events. What do you think about engaging ideas? And I think a couple of you mentioned that. How do you maybe plan to engage our community in your plans going forward as music educators? Who would like to lead?
I'll start. I'm the little guy, so I'm lucky enough because my music population is the entire student population. Sure. So mine's different. So I'm lucky there. So when I do have a Christmas concert for the entire school, it's packed. You're right. I'm lucky there, but I've been able to do that, America in Song concert and really reach out to the first responders community and have them come be a part, which has always been really fun. And I've loved having that. And then this year, really adding that spring concert for the rest of the grade levels, not just 3rd grade. And I'm interested to see what I'm going to do with that. I don't know yet. I've got ideas swirling around, but just kind of where that goes. And of course, concerts are always the go-to, right, for community things, but I'm open to anything. We took a tour last year and visited 3 different spots around Thermopolis and did a little Christmas music. And I'd like to team up with you guys this year. next year as well. Kind of start that whole thing and do a big kid, little kid thing where we travel around and play and stuff. So I am truly like so open to ideas and just need that spark, to of ways that we can get out into the community. So.
Yep.
No, for sure. I think a big part of involving the community is just improving your visibility however you can.
Yeah.
I know I was talking with
Especially at your
someone,
levels.
especially with us, but I know I was talking to someone the other day, and it came to mind we should maybe bring a small group to the Pioneer Home and start
Wow.
involving some of
They'd
them.
love that.
Sing Christmas carols for them. It would be a way to get some people who aren't as able to get out excited about music, and then they could spread the word for us.
Yeah.
Or going around town. And I don't know if caroling's a real possibility here, but if nothing else, we can maybe bring a group to the park, state park, and play
Absolutely.
some music. That
We
would
got to
be
go
amazing.
caroling for sure.
But just doing things that the community is more likely to see than a Tuesday night concert.
Sure.
Because not everybody wants to go out on a Tuesday night after a long day at work, but like a Saturday afternoon when, people are wanting to go outside and stuff, go to the state park, do something. But really just getting involved in places where the community already is so that they know we're here, I think. And of course, if you're listening, now you know we're here. Come to our concerts.
Right. Well,
They're good.
I do think they're listening, and we're going to give Hattie a chance to answer too. But earlier this summer, I had to walk and drop off something for an errand because my vehicle was getting serviced down here downtown. And walking back to the office, I walked past a driveway, and a gentleman literally chased me down, and he said, "Wait!" And I stopped, and he said, "Are you the new band teacher?" And I said, "Well, if I am, our band students are in trouble because I cannot help them much. But
He looked the part.
but help is
great.
help is on the way." So, which he was ecstatic to hear
Yeah.
that we had 2 new instructors coming into our community. So, Hattie, what do you think?
Sure. I love that some of the community already comes and joins for pep band, for football games. I think it's incredible. And I think sometimes we mistakenly think that the community that we want to reach out to is just parents. We absolutely want parents to be involved, and we want to show them what their students are doing, but it's the whole community. There's so many people that went to school here, that graduated here, that still want to be involved. And they come and they talk to us, people that graduated a year,
Love it.
2, 3 years ago. They've come in, introduced themselves to us in our classrooms, and ask how they can be involved, and being able to tell them to come join this or come join that is incredible. And so I love that the community takes initiative sometimes to do some of that. So I agree, going and being visible. I think we were talking in choir the other day about going in after our concert, because our concert's December 10th for Christmas. We'll have time before the semester's over to go and to sing in some of the retirement homes, and going to meet the people that can't come meet us, because there's so many people that would love to be involved in music. And so I just love that. I think those nights we were talking about, like those jam sessions, it wouldn't even have to be for a fundraiser. That would be awesome. But outside of pep band, being able to like invite the community just to come be involved in music. Come, we're gonna sing tunes we all know, or play pieces together on our instruments from people that have already come and asked to join us. And so just having some of those opportunities, I think, would be really cool to set up and meet more of these people when they're available. Yeah.
So what you folks are telling me, if you're a music person and you live in Thermopolis and you want to be part of the music program and part of this rich tradition and adding to the legacy, not filling shoes, because those shoes might be impossible to fill, but adding to the legacy and creating your own set of shoes, if you're that person, get in touch with these folks. And
That's right.
there's-
That's right.
they want you to be part of their program and add to that rich tradition, and continue to make music education not just a priority, but a real legacy piece here at Hot Springs County School
Jump
District.
online, send that email. Boy, we can.
Yeah,
Oh, absolutely.
We got time to we can respond to emails.
that's right.
Absolutely. I mean, we've had people invite us to come sing with their church Christmas programs, and so we'll go and sing with some of the rehearsals. And there are people that have already been inviting us to things too. And so it is really cool to see that the community is wanting us to be involved, and they come to us too. So
Yeah.
Well, this is a great place if you're a it's a great place if you're an educator, but it's a great place
It
for
is.
music education. And when I moved here, we did not have choir way back in the day when we moved here, my son did not have a choir to sing with. And as soon as we landed here in Thermopolis and he realized what the educational opportunities were, he was super excited to join the choir and be able to sing, not just in concerts, but at graduation. And, all of my students have had an opportunity to be involved with music, and really proud of what you guys have offered all of our kids this year. I know it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank you all for being here.
Absolutely.
My hope is that we will have folks reach out, and we want people to know what a great job you're doing. And I want to tell you, how excited I am as the superintendent of schools to have just a top-notch team, top to bottom, with the sky's the limit. We're not done building this. It's going to grow and grow every year through collaboration. And
Well, you guys support us so well.
well, I appreciate that, Nathan.
How can we not succeed? And I mean that. You guys support, and it is, I feel it from the superintendent down.
Well,
I feel that.
I appreciate that, but you're a talented group of people, and I'm looking forward to that.
I should have brought the ukulele.
You should have brought the ukulele.
I almost did.
Well, next time, because we're going to do this an awful lot.
Okay,
Okay.
I do want you to keep thinking about those ways we can inspire young people to become music educators, because it's not just the kids in Thermopolis that are short music professionals right now. There's, I heard a number just here in the last couple of years that there's just very few coming out of our universities, and we need to get those students inspired to go, because it's super rewarding to see, like, you're lunching with a student that's going to teach. He's as talented at music as any person that's ever come out of here at anything.
Yeah, he's beyond my level. That's for sure.
And so for him to want to give that gift to other kids is pretty impressive. So
it is. It's cool.
But thank you all for being here. Anything else for the good of the order before we close up the Bobcat beat here, celebrating music in Thermopolis, Harmonies for Hope, coming up with all those fancy names are doing my best. But I'm kind of an amateur podcaster, but hopefully we get the word out there to our community about what we're trying to accomplish in our music program.
I got nothing. I didn't bring the uke, so
Thanks
All
for
right,
having us.
thank
Yeah.
you
I'm
so
super
much.
glad to have you all. Thank you again. And folks, tune in next time, and we'll have another episode of the Bobcat Beat for you. But want to thank our music educators who, are quickly becoming one of the best teams around, and appreciate them very
shucks.
much. Have a
Thanks,
great
man.
day.
Bah.